So with the job market, flooded with due to the economy, lots of highly skilled professionals are out there.
Yes.
Looking for jobs. How do you set yourself apart? How do you sort of rise above the masses?
Right. Well, one of the things I would say is what Belinda was talking about, and that is to have the positive attitude and have the confidence. Even if you may not feel like it one day, you have to fake it till you make it.
Right.
Because that sets apart so many of my clients who have been successful versus the ones who aren't successful. And understanding your value, being able to articulate to a hiring manager, how can I ease your pain? How can I start helping you tomorrow in this position? So understanding how to articulate that to somebody else is very important.
Do you actually have clients sit down and write those answers out, or do you have them practice that and get in the mirror and say, here's why you need to hire me, this is why I'd be good for your company?
Actually, yes, we do. We have them, we call them accomplishment statements or stories, and we have
so it's sort of like the 3-minute, the 1-minute elevator speech or the 3-minute sell yourself thing.
Exactly. And the accomplishment story are specific examples of when they added value to their company. And we start with situation, the action, and then the result of their efforts. And so being able to articulate that is very important.
So you have sort of an acronym to help people when they're in an interview and you want them to be able to articulate exactly what they do well. What is that? Because I think
STAR.
That's very helpful.
Yes, it's the STAR. So situation that you were in, the task that you were asked to perform or accomplish, and then the actual action that you took, and then the result of those efforts.
That's helpful. Easy to remember. When does it make sense to look for a completely different job, a second career, making a complete shift away from what you're currently doing? Let's say that we have listeners who have been doing the same type of work in the same field for 15, 20 years, and they're questioning whether now is the time to make a career transition to something completely different. What is the sort of guideline around that?
My guideline would be don't do it now, because this is a very tough time to make a career change, because you'll be up against people who have training in whatever it is you're trying to change to, and hiring managers will most likely look at people that already have the training or the background or the experience with what you're trying to do. So my advice would be, if you're still employed, start doing the research about that other career. If you need to go back to school or get a certification, then do that on the side while you're still making money before you decide to make that kind of change.
Is that very easy to do? Can you actually further your education while you're employed?
Yes, if you have the dedication to do that, if that's something you want to do, absolutely. Many of these certifications you can actually do online. You might go to a study session at night, but then the test would be online, things like that. So that also would tell the person how dedicated they are to really making that change.
And when you're in, I've read recently also about people wanting to preserve their jobs during tough economic times. You want to keep the job you have, let's say. There are several things you can do to try to raise your visibility within the company. I was reading about, one, just volunteer to be on company-wide committees so that you get seen. A second one was about meeting your boss's boss. Are there other tips that you can come up with that for people who are in the job that they have right now, they'd like to stay there, they like the company, and during times where people are laying off and furloughs and downsizing, they want to be able to be the one that remains?
Network, network, network. Network inside your company. Get to know all the players, like you said, your boss's boss, your peers, people that work for you. You want to build a very strong internal network, because what will happen is, let's say your job is going to be eliminated, but Susie over another department knows that, and she wants you to come work for her because she knows who you are and what you can do. So the more internally you are networked within your company, you definitely have an advantage.
Are you finding people needing to relocate to stay at a certain level of job or pay or salary range?
I find my senior executives who want to keep their same pay are the ones that probably need to do a search that's national. So I'm talking maybe 300,000 and above. Those executives are the ones that have to be more flexible about where they're going to work. But typically, many of my clients are able to stay in Columbus.
So with the work that your clients do with your company, you've had some good success stories, I assume?
Yes, we've had great success stories. In fact, every week we keep what's called a bulletin board called the landings board. So anytime a client lands, we put an index card with their name and where they landed on the board, and the board is full. We have people landing every week.
Even though we're facing difficult times, tough economic times, and other companies downsizing, people can find the bright spot in that and turn it around for themselves. You see it every day.
I see it every day, absolutely, and it's just, you have to stay positive, just like the other speaker was talking about.
That's great. I'm glad that you were able to tie that back to Belinda's comments, because I think that, as I said in the intro, I think attitude is going to be so key. So Megan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the valuable information. Megan will be here with us later in the program to answer your phone and chat questions. So how important is thriving spiritually during these turbulent times? I'm Kathy Cleveland Bull, and that's up next when From the Inside Out continues after this short break.